everybody. Welcome back to the Almost Sideways Movie Podcast. My name is Adam. I'm joined by my good buddy, this way. Todd Plucknett of the Almost Sideways Podcast. We have two movies that we're going to be reviewing for you guys today, and two movies that have appeared on either one of our top 10 movies. And I guess I'll start it off first, because one movie that appeared on your top 10 list, Todd, of 2020 was Belushi, the Showtime documentary. And I believe this was number 10 on your list, if I correct. Okay. So I'm going to say Belushi, this is an awesome documentary. And I think you compared it to Montage of Heck, the Kurt Cobain documentary. I totally love that comparison because I didn't really know exactly what I was getting myself into. I know that you raved about the movie, but the animation style is some of the best of the year. I love how it's very Belushi looking. I loved how they animated him and really kind of told this story throughout the runtime of the film. And definitely a tragic story for Belushi. He was a really funny actor. I remember watching Animal House quite a bit, and I'm not a huge fan of that film, but I saw it much later when it was first originally came out. But you can't deny the charisma that Belushi does bring to everything. And I remember watching a bunch of his stand-up sketches and stuff, and he's a charismatic guy, and it's really awesome to see his rise, but really tragic to see his fall. And I think how the documentary was able to play out on screen had me riveted, and I was obviously glued watching it, because as an actor that I do know and I respect a lot of his comedic work. And man, it was really sad, especially when Dan Aykroyd's on there talking about that he was writing a spot for him in Ghostbusters, which would have totally have changed that movie. Who would have known? Is he part of the group? Is he going to be Rick Moranis? Is he a Ghostbuster character? Who knows? But that would have changed the dynamic of that 80s film. And, seeing the other cast members pop up, that Diane Keaton. No, that's not Jane Curtin. Sorry, I don't know why I said Diane Keaton. Jane Curtin pop up there and tell the stories, and plus his brother and his family, and talk about him. And it's really sad. Obviously he was gone too soon. Of course, a lot of talented genius comedics or people in general do leave us way too soon, sooner than we would like them. But I think Belushi is a really fascinating, interesting documentary that it's an easy 3.5 stars out of rating for me. I'm sitting at around number 14 of the year for me. So really ranked up pretty high for me on my overall 2020 list. I thought it was a really, really good done documentary. I like seeing these stories of, famous people that are kind of tragic, unfortunately, and you learn more about them too. So I thought this was a very great documentary. So if you haven't checked out Belushi on Showtime, check it out. You can also rent it on Amazon too. So I love that movie because I'm not necessarily the biggest John Belushi fan. I haven't seen that much of his stuff, but what I love is the early footage of him and how they make it clear that he was really proud that he had a number one record. Because he wanted to be the triple threat. He was going to be the best in everything, and he took really high pride in everything that he did. And he was going to be when he got his part in Spielberg's movie. He's like, hey, I never have to worry about money again. I could do whatever I want now. I could make my own stuff. I love the rise and fall of John Belushi. It is an amazing story, and it actually got me looking at other stuff that was connected to the thing that it was based on. And I saw that Robert De Niro and Robin Williams are both there the night of his death. Wow. And stuff. And I had no idea about any of this stuff, and it doesn't covered in the actual documentary because it's about that would kind of derail it in a sense. But it really makes everything about his story is just so tragic and so it also kind of triumphant at the same time. He was an amazing performer and he was born to be on the screen. Yeah, geez, yeah. What a guy. He kind of him, John Candy, Chris Farley, all these really funny comedians on the top of their prime. It seems like they left us too soon, and I definitely would like to see more of them, of course. But unfortunately, we don't. But seeing the story play out, man, it was very fascinating, and I'm really glad I was able to watch it. So thank you for the recommendation, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually watched it. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect the same from the other people on our podcast, but
Hey, the challenge is thrown out to you guys. Now it's your turn. So yeah, I recommended a movie, that documentary that appeared on my list. It kind of ties in perfectly to our deep dive that we're doing, and that is You Cannot Kill David Arquette. So tell me what you thought. This appeared at number 5 on my list of the year.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a big fan of this movie too. I'm really glad that you mentioned it because I never even heard of it. Like, I guess if you don't know, it's a look at sort of David Arquette, who was like promoting a wrestling movie at the height of his like relative fame, and then he was like thrown into the wrestling world plot by winning the title, which kind of was seen as a joke to everybody in the sport, but also seen as a joke to everybody who was following his acting career. And so he decides eventually to make a return to the sport, starting at the bottom and working his way up, just so he could be seen as something not as a joke, I guess, and someone who deserves respect, or like someone who wasn't just given everything because of what his name is.
Yeah.
And I found the movie fascinating to watch. Like, he goes out almost anonymous, which I think was actually by design. It reminded me a little bit of like the Joaquin Phoenix thing, I'm Still Here, but without like the blatant like messing with the audience and pranking the people in the public eye. I mean, you get the idea that he would have done this regardless of if the cameras were on him or not. I feel like he wanted back in that world. He wanted to have that respect back, because I feel like he thought his name was completely dragged through the mud. Yeah. It reminded me a little bit of Glow in ways, where he's like, relearning how to do things and like how to be athletic and like the performance art of the sport at the same time. And I also thought it could have almost be like the story of Tim Tebow, where he like relatively failed at like pro football, so he decides to come back up through the minors and start playing baseball, which is like seen as sort of a joke because he's taken up a spot of somebody who actually deserves to be there, but it's also not necessarily a publicity stunt because he actually is kind of good. But everyone has this disdain and criticism because just of who he is. I think the movie is really fun to watch, and it has a lot of ups and downs. I also think it's sort of like difficult to watch at the same time. It is like fully committed method acting by David Arquette, even though he's not acting, he's actually doing these things. The weirdest thing I think about the movie is actually that his current wife looks so much like his ex-wife that it's scary. Like, Courtney Cox and his current wife have the exact same everything, the exact same eyes, the exact same hair. And I was like, weird. It was kind of like disturbing. But yeah, I really like this movie. It's my current number 4 documentary of the year. It's a 3.5 star movie. It's a great movie. I'm glad that you turned me on to it, because I would have never come across it.
Yeah, it's such a niche little thing too. It's not just like a documentary; it's a wrestling documentary, which is, I have been known to like these because I grew up watching it, and I'm not like a diehard into it now, even though I'm wearing a wrestling shirt, which is funny. But it's something about this movie that just really like drew me in, because I know that David Arquette won this. I remember it, not really remembering happening at the time, but remember hearing stories about it and watching old footage of it, and which is definitely like something that totally everybody hated, and seeing him come up and actually do these things, and it was pretty freaking crazy. What did you think about that death match at the end? Because he had no idea what it was from interviews that he's done afterward. Anyway, what do you think about that?
With the death match,
where he like freaking got cut, like pot, like his he got the light.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what I was talking about that is like serious method, because he was like off the stage and he knew that he was like, he got cut in a bad spot. And I was like, shit, what is he gonna do? And he actually went up and he finished it, and then he took off. I was like, damn, like that is like gives me respect, because like I always thought like David Arquette was in the same realm for me as like David Duchovny, where I never understood why they were famous. But I mean, I get it now. Like David Arquette, I mean, he's a badass.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like in his wrestling stuff, he actually went and did it. And he actually ranked one of the best in the world, and people actually really respect him now, because he paid his dues and he's actually doing all this stuff. I also really loved him fighting on the streets of Tijuana. I thought that was like, what the heck? Like that's so crazy. That's so odd.
Yeah, in traffic.
And the first time he's like, oh, no money. Oh, okay, I get it. No money. Well, I'm horrible. I get it. But yeah, it's really a really cool documentary. If you guys haven't, You Cannot Kill David Arquette. Both 3.5 star movies, Belushi and You Cannot Kill David Arquette. So some of you haven't watched those movies, you should definitely watch them, because they are some of the best of the year.